Hello, Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, David. And if it ends up being just me with you,
Well, that's okay. At least we have someone to talk to. So we're recording now.
I see that.
Welcoming everybody to the replay for those who are not with us live. We've got Charlie and Mickey and Becky and I, and I'm going to dive right in. We're going to start by looking at a map of New Zealand.
All right.
And that can serve as a reference point for our discussion of the itinerary. So, Charlie, do you see my screen?
The map now, it just came up. Yep, great.
So, New Zealand, of course, consists of the North Island and the South Island. We will be flying into Auckland, as you can see,
Okay.
on the North Island.
Uh-huh.
And it's a modern, world-class city. We will spend our first night in Auckland.
Come back and talk about the Fiji stopover sometime too.
Well, let's go ahead and discuss that.
Okay.
As I said in the email, a lot of this is recapping what I said in the informational email. And if you guys listening do not have that, please, or inadvertently deleted it, please email me and I'll be glad to resend it. But what Becky and I did 3 years ago when we visited our friends Neil and Jill in New Zealand was we were using miles. And so we were, of course, at the mercy of whatever was available to use those miles with. And it turned out that Fiji Airways had the best options for us out of Los Angeles. And so we chose to have an early Christmas with our family, which I realized not everybody can do. And so we left, I believe, on the 23rd from Nashville. In any case, we chose to spend one night in Fiji, which if we scrolled up here would be out in the, there it is.
I see.
And we flew into Nadi, as you see here where my cursor is. Yeah, one of the good things about stopping over in Fiji is it's in the same time zone as New Zealand.
Okay.
So you start to acclimate immediately.
All right.
And so we flew in the afternoon, I believe, spent the evening and all night, had a nice walk along the beach. Our hotel was just a very simple, modest hotel, but right on the beach. And we woke up Christmas morning for a walk along the beach and in gorgeous weather. And we walked along the beach and everybody was out, all the families were out having Christmas barbecue on the beach. Everybody would say, Bula, Merry Christmas. But anyway, that is an option. But the bottom line is that we are asking everyone to be in Auckland by the 28th of December, which would necessitate leaving the continental U.S. on the 26th. Hello, Diana. I see you. You can't hide. Hi, Diana. Can you hear me? Oh, she apparently still can't hear me. I'm going to keep talking.
All right.
And so all of that to say, we have decided to fly straight through this time from Los Angeles to Auckland. I believe United Airlines has a direct flight from Los Angeles to Auckland.
Okay.
So yes, that is a lengthy flight. And we're still going to get there on the 27th to prepare everything, take care of any last minute things and start our recovery from jet lag a day early. Anybody else that wants to do that is welcome to. We just need you to let us know so we can book you a room at the hotel for the night of the 27th. We are going to assume that everyone will be there by the 28th, and we will reserve rooms for everyone in Auckland for the 28th. And then we will, the next day, leave with Neil and Jill. We will go in a rented vehicle or 2, depending on the size of our group, and not till the late afternoon. So we'll look around downtown Auckland a little bit. It's right on the Auckland Harbor, which is really pretty. Really nice place to look around, but we won't dilly-dally in Auckland because we're going to drive from Auckland. If you follow my cursor,
All right.
I'm going to take this road and then direction of Tauranga. If you see that right there, Tauranga is probably the 3rd largest city on the North Island. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And if you see Tauranga here,
Good work.
and then you see Kati Kati right here, this inlet, if you want to call it that, is called the Bay of Plenty. And that is where our friends Neil and Jill live. They live just about 10 minutes outside Kati Kati on a little inlet or a little estuary called Tanner's Point.
All right.
And that's where we will be basing ourselves for 6 nights.
Okay.
We will be staying in Airbnb properties there at Tanner's Point. One of the properties is right on the water, and it's a beach house, and they call them batches in New Zealand, not B-A-C-H, but B-A-C-H. And the batch actually happens to be Neil's family's childhood batch, where he spent a lot of summers, and now it belongs to someone else, but it's available, and so we're going to rent that out for the 6 nights, and then probably, depending on, like I say, the size of our group, rent another Airbnb property in that same immediate vicinity. Bay of Plenty is a beautiful area. It's surrounded by avocado orchards and very lush green landscapes. One of our day trips will be into Tauranga, and more specifically, you see I'm highlighting Mount Maunganui, known by the locals as simply the Mount. It is an extinct volcano, which Becky and I climbed, and has just a gorgeous view of the beach and the city of Tauranga at the top. Somewhere along here is Waihi Beach. We'll also spend at least part of a day at the beach and eat fish and chips. Oh, there it is, up top, Waihi. But we'll be over here on the coast. And then another day, we will go to Hobbiton, which is where of course, Hobbit movies were filmed. And it is near the city of Matamata. It's just, I believe, 80 kilometers, so an easy 1-hour drive from Tanner's Point. Another day trip will be down to this city, Rotorua, where we will visit a Maori village.
All right.
Now, as most of you are aware, the indigenous people of New Zealand are called the Maori, and we believe that it's a vital part of our adventure to get to know more about the Maori people and their culture, and to learn specifically about their journey to in relations with the European settlers and how that has evolved over the years. And I look forward to some very interesting discussions with you guys, and in particular with our hosts, Neil and Jill. I'm going to set a parenthesis here, and I will, of course, email this to everybody, but I interviewed Neil and Jill on my podcast a couple of years ago, just to let them tell all about their native land, New Zealand. And this was actually Jim Davis's idea. Jim told me he listened to it the other day and said, really want to encourage you to have everybody listen to this podcast. And it's super informative as Neil and Jill talk about their history and culture. And so I will send everyone a link to that podcast interview.
Turn the echo. Turn it off.
And you'll really enjoy listening to their accents and get more than one chuckle out of their brand of English. That's just one of the most fun things about our friends is chuckling about each other's English.
Yeah. Now I'm just talking technically. Mick and Diana, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You may want to turn off one of your computers.
she's trying to.
It's because it's like got a lot of echo.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of echo.
Just turn your phone off, hon.
I hit the thing to go off and it didn't go off.
Ah.
There we
Anyway,
go.
go ahead.
I got it.
It can be tolerated. There, that's better.
Yeah, great. And so we will also make our way over to the city of Hamilton, which is where Neil and Jill actually met and grew up. And in that part of the town of the country, we will go up to Huntley and visit a dairy farm. You may think of the wool industry and the sheep industry when you think of New Zealand, which of course for years was their leading industry. It has been completely eclipsed by the dairy industry now. And a nephew, actually sister and brother-in-law and his family of Jill's run one of the largest dairy farms in the country. And we're going to pay them a visit. And Becky keeps adding, if y'all want to.
Yeah, we do.
All of this, of course, is subject to your feedback. Then there's a glowworm cave that's supposed to be amazing.
All right.
In that same area. We have not been to that. All of the other places I've mentioned so far, we have been to. Then we will make our way back up to, I should remember it does that. On a Mac, you have to do the two-finger thing. Click and drag.
Right.
Then we will make our way back up to Auckland, and we will fly from there to the capital of New Zealand, which is on the south end of the North Island, Wellington.
Okay.
And the main purpose of this brief visit is to see the National Museum, as well as visit the studios of Peter Jackson, director of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies, and his workshop, which is called Weta Workshop. Now, I did not receive any feedback from this in the email, positive or negative. Becky and I have not been to Wellington, and we just thought that there might be enough interest in anything related to Lord of the Rings and all of that to make this an interesting stop. Having said that, we do not have to do it. And the alternative would be to fly, instead of Wellington, all the way down to Christchurch on the South Island. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And look around Christchurch. We've also got some friends there that we may or may not see, but then we would rent vehicles there and then make our way down to Queenstown. Our original plan was to fly from Wellington to Queenstown. Now, if you see my cursor, Queenstown is here on the South Island. It is the spot where we took that photo that was in the email I sent out, this photo right here. Those mountains are called the Remarkables. It is one of the most gorgeous spots I've ever seen. The water is a color that I've never seen anywhere else.
Cool.
And of course, we'll be there in their summer, and that's why there's no snow on those mountains, but there is on much of the year. And from Queenstown, we would, again, rent vehicles if we haven't already rented them in Christchurch, and take a day trip over to an area on the west. Now, I made a mistake in the email, and I said it's on the east side, east coast. It's actually the west coast of the South Island, called Milford Sound. Now, I encourage you, if you haven't already, just to go to Google Images and put in Milford Sound, and you'll think you're looking at Norwegian fjords.
Wow.
It is just breathtakingly beautiful. We did not make this trip last time, and so we thought we would all enjoy a little boat cruise on the fjords of Milford Sound and pretend we're in Norway.
Would this be instead of going to the studios of the...
No, this is on the itinerary regardless.
Oh, okay, okay. Good.
And then we would spend one night in that area just because it's a lot of driving.
Uh-huh.
And then we come back and finish out our time in Queenstown. There is an old steamship from the early 1900s or maybe late 1800s that you can take across the lake from Queenstown. You see Queenstown's on the north shore of the lake. I can remember the name of the lake. Across to a working sheep station. And we actually saw them share the sheep and everything, and they serve us afternoon tea, British style. It was just a delightful excursion. And then the rest of the time in Queenstown, we can do things like take a gondola up to the peak that overlooks the lake. That's where that photo was taken.
Okay.
And then there is probably the best burger place I've ever seen in Queenstown. It's called Fergburger. You have to say it Fergburger.
Okay.
And they have the most amazing burgers that people literally will line out the street, out the door down the street to wait in line. And so we were able to nudge Neil and Jill out of their conventional mindset to go at an off-peak time so we wouldn't have to stand in line for so long.
All right.
And so the tour would officially end there in Queenstown. Now, this is something that I did not mention in the email, but Becky and I are tentatively planning to fly from Queenstown across the Tasman Sea to Sydney for a couple of days because, as some of you know, I spent part of my childhood there. There's the Tasman Sea, and there's Sydney. Now, that is not on the itinerary for this tour. Having said that, if any of you guys are curious enough about the land down under to join us, you are more than welcome if you can take that additional time. I think we'll just spend a couple of nights there, and then we'll fly directly back to the States from Sydney.
The alternative would be from Queenstown to fly back to Auckland?
Exactly. And I've already identified a couple of flights, a couple of options from Queenstown to Auckland. You would need to stay one more night in Auckland and fly out the following morning, most likely. And so that last hotel night would be on you, and it is not calculated into the cost of the official tour that we have given you.
Okay.
And we're happy to share those flights with you as you make your decisions. So, Mick and Diana, I know you guys joined us a little late.
We didn't know we had to download this Zoom thing, so we were messing with that.
They asked you to download something?
Zoom.com.
Yeah.
We couldn't get on without downloading an app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too, but that's okay.
Huh.
Yeah. That's why we were a little late. We're trying to figure out. We're not real techy.
Well, that's my bad. I should have seen that coming. So, what else?
You've
guys
hit all the
questions thus far?
Yes.
No, we got in when you were talking about LA to Auckland nonstop, you all getting there on the 27th, but everyone else needs to be there by the 28th. Although if you want to get there on the 27th, that would be okay.
Oh, yeah. So you've been
Well,
with
it probably would add.
That's the first thing we heard. Yeah.
That's the first
Good.
thing we
Well, you
heard.
didn't miss much of anything. Yeah, and so we would like for everybody just to let us know their plans. Once you talk among yourselves, if you decide you want to fly together, then you agree together on when you want to travel.
The other option was he talked about landing in Fiji, spending one night there, you know, to get accustomed and rest a little there rather than flying directly into Auckland.
Now,
What's the
Fiji is obviously
advantage?
not the only possibility in the Pacific by any stretch, but we found it's the most economical by a long shot. I had actually considered Tahiti because it's French speaking, but it was much more expensive to fly via Tahiti than Fiji. Tonga would be another option, but I have not checked into that possibility.
So what's the advantage or disadvantage of doing Fiji instead of going straight to Auckland?
It's a shorter flight, and then you have that much time to start recovering from jet lag. But that can obviously happen in Auckland, which is what we've opted for this time. Although I have to say we really enjoyed our overnight in Fiji and had no regrets whatsoever. Now,
Looks
if
like
you used to go Fiji Air all the way to Auckland without spending the night, you'll still have to lay over for about 3 hours in Fiji. There are no direct flights from Los Angeles from Auckland on Fiji Air. If you want to fly nonstop from Los Angeles to Auckland, your best bet is United or Air New Zealand.
Or Air New Zealand, okay.
I believe those are partners, by the way. I can't remember for sure, but if you have United miles, then they should probably work on New Zealand.
And to get there on the 27th.
Travelers, I'm not. That's why I'm letting you make your own flight arrangements. But I'm happy to help you with any research that you need. Mick, what were you going to say?
Yeah, David, to arrive in Auckland on the 27th, you need to leave LA the 25th or the 24th.
25th.
25th. So we need to leave Nashville in time to get to the LA flight on the 25th.
If you want to be in Auckland on the 27th, we're asking everyone to be there by the 28th, which would mean leaving Nashville on the 26th. The flights from Los Angeles are normally late at night, like 9:30 p.m.
Right.
So you have plenty of time to get to Los Angeles that same day from Nashville.
Okay.
Now, there are also flights from San Francisco, but that's, of course, a longer flight.
Yeah. Are we talking about nonstop? Is it a 17-hour or an 18-hour? What is it?
Let's see. You know what? I want to say it was just about 13, Nick.
Well, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, it's 14 from Chicago to Japan.
Well, and speaking of the Far East, when you see, I've already put in this search, and when you do a search of these flights, you'll see that the cheapest options that come up, if you filter it to do cheapest ones first, have you flying to China or Hong Kong, and the whole the one-way trip to New Zealand takes like 32 to 35 hours, and for me, that's just not worth the savings.
No, absolutely correct.
Yeah, see, this one is China
32.
Southern Airlines, 32 hours. So you get rid of those, and then you come down to Hawaiian Airlines. It looks like that probably, lays over in Honolulu, and that's 18 hours total.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Fiji with a layover in Nadi, like I had mentioned.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then Qantas, you have to go to Sydney first. So let's look at, well, I don't know why United's not coming up anymore.
I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'm going to pick up on this later on the recording.
Okay, Charlie.
All right.
Go to the concert.
Going to the concert. Good to see you guys.
Good to
Please
see you, Charlie.
All right.
email me with your questions or comments.
I will. All right.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Now, Mick, strangely enough, United's not even showing up on here
Yeah.
in the price range under 2,000. But you can see these prices, for me, are a bit of a pleasant surprise, because you pay only 300 or 400 or 200 or 300 less than that for a round trip to Europe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, are you guys looking at using miles?
Oh, maybe, but not necessarily. What is it? Probably 75,000 for a round trip. Maybe it's more. I don't know. We need to see. I have more miles than she does. I don't know. We may or may not.
Mm-hmm.
We're prepared to not use miles for this trip and save United for less lengthy trips.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be a toss-up. It's not always a clear-cut decision.
Yeah.
Mick and Diana, do you guys have any more questions? Diana didn't know. Wait.
Hi, Ray.
Your sister?
Oh, Ray coming through. We're at church.
Mick, is it your sister, Judy?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
Her husband, Charlie. We're thrilled that they're looking at participating with us. Where did
Yes.
they live?
Yes. They're continuing to be serious about it, because we talked with them not long ago. Well, shortly after your email came, and I wanted to make sure that she had received it, and yeah, they're still very keen on the trip.
Awesome.
Who else is keen besides Charlie and Mickey and I guess Jim and Mary?
That's just those four couples that are committed.
Okay,
now.
and then you and Becky. Well,
it looks like the prices have gone up since I did a last search, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, we better get this rolling.
yeah.
Whoa.
That's from LAX, not from Nashville.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we're thinking about, how much of a plus is it to have? Looks like Fiji is either the same time zone or maybe 1 hour different than Auckland. Would you bear? Is that what you would say as well?
Yeah. Becky was thinking it was the same time zone, but
It could be. It looked like it was. It wouldn't be more than one off, as your map was flashing up there.
Yeah. So the prices that we laid out in the email are, except for airfare, which is not mentioned, per couple, where we might be a little presumptuous, but we're assuming that most couples will want to do things together.
Yeah.
How hard is that mountain climb? I mean, I'm not sure about my capabilities.
Oh,
Some things physically.
It probably took us maybe half an hour to get up there. It was for me. It was hard. Becky's saying it was challenging, but we stopped and rested, and it's completely optional. there's plenty to do at the base. A lot of great little interesting shops and coffee shops at the foot of the mountain. So it's entirely optional.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do those things. It's just harder for me than it used to be. And I'm trying to get well enough. I just had a heart ablation 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get completely healthy because I'd like to get the most, and for Mick and everyone, I don't want to slow anyone down, you know?
Well, this is the kind of thing where it's all in a very contained area, and those that choose not to go up the mountain will just hang out in that area and relax.
Okay.
You could even be on the beach if you wanted to be. It's just a beautiful area to hang out. And going up the mountain and back down doesn't take more than a couple of hours max.
Is it steep though? Of course, I mean, it's a mountain. I guess it's going to be steep.
It's not.
Yeah.
We're not talking mountain climbing. It's just.
Right. Oh, and hiking.
Yeah,
A path.
hiking uphill on a path. Yeah,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and stopping every now and then to enjoy the view. And take
Okay.
a breath.
Well, at one of those stops, I might just decide to hang out and stay there.
Yeah, that's totally
was
possible.
too exhausted. So.
Well, I think I have the current fitness to be able
Oh, yeah.
to do that
He's been
myself,
walking.
and I continue to work on enhanced
Mhm.
fitness along the way as well. But yeah, Diana would be the
Yeah, I've had
the
some
question.
health things going on. So
Yeah,
that was why I said something about, I even asked you the question about insurance. I mean, heaven forbid that, I wouldn't be able to go for some reason physically. But we would be on our own for getting travel insurance probably and stuff like that, like you would on any other trip that.
right. But as far as the other expenses, we would, of course, work with you as much as possible. But the money is, I guess, part of that depends on the cancellation policies of the hotels, which we have no
Okay.
control over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Well, there is always some risk. You never know. So
Sure.
we just kind of have to decide about taking that risk, and I think we're willing.
Yeah, we really want to go. Us and Judy and Charlie talked about this for quite a while. Probably, I don't know, a couple of years. We've been thinking that's on our bucket list. We'd like to go together to New Zealand. So,
Where did Julie and Charlie live?
Massillon, Ohio. It's right near Canton, where
Okay.
Mick is from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys will really enjoy Neil and Jill. And Becky's saying that it's possible, Mick, that you've actually met them.
Oh, well, that would be a pleasant finding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Mick, when did you start as missions pastor at Belmont?
89.
Okay, yeah. They were with us here in 86 when we were doing a tour from Amsterdam.
Oh, okay. We were at Belmont, but I wasn't really missions associated
Right.
in 86. Yeah.
Then they visited us in 96 or something like that. But I don't know if we would have had the chance to introduce you to them at that point or not. So anyway, we absolutely loved every minute of our visit there 3 years ago, and are excited about introducing you guys to them and their country.
Right. Well, how do we access the recording so that we can go over the information again? I wrote a lot of things down. I'm a visual guy.
I will send everyone a link to the replay.
Okay. All right. And we'll be able to stop and start it, and I can keep recording my notes. So that'll be good. That'll be good.
So, do you guys have any reservations or objections to the Wellington stop, or is that something you would enjoy?
It's really hard because I don't really know what's there. I would like to see Christchurch, I'm pretty sure. Um,
The National Museum is at Wellington.
but the National Museum. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And at the National Museum,
Yeah.
you learn a ton about obviously the history of New Zealand and more about Maori culture, as well as the other things that we've already mentioned. And the
Mhm.
Weta workshop just shows you and gives you an in-depth look into the making of those movies that have just been so wildly popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick, I remember seeing one of those with you and Micah on the IMAX screen, and several of us dads and our sons, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we will go to what they call Hobbit Town.
Hobbiton,
Hobbiton? Yeah.
yes, that's on the North
That will be
Island.
fun.
That's
That
Yeah.
will be one of
Mahamata
the
area.
places.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it that we see less of if we choose to go to Wellington before on to Christchurch?
Well, the plan is to do only one or the other. We would probably not do Wellington and
Mhm.
Christchurch.
Gotcha.
We would only do
Okay.
Christchurch if we did not do Wellington.
Okay, but whatever, we're going to go on to Queenstown and Milford Sound and all the rest.
Correct.
So okay, so it's the trading of the Wellington experience or the Christchurch experience.
Right. And
Gotcha.
honestly, I don't know that much about Christchurch and what all there is to see and do there.
Okay.
We'd be dependent on Neil and Jill in that regard. But there is another place that Jill mentioned that would be on our way from Christchurch down to Christchurch, down to Queenstown. There's a
Mhm.
good bit more driving with that option, though, I have to say.
We're
And
talking about a 300-mile road journey, a 400-mile road journey.
well, she talked about stopping in Tekapo. Do you see Tekapo there?
Well, I don't
I
have
I
a
don't have
map
the
just
map.
I
yet.
didn't. I stopped sharing my screen. If you can just write down TEKAPO. It's
TEKAPO.
right in this TEKAPO. It's right in the center of the South Island, and she says it's just a gorgeous spot. And so we would probably stop there one night on our way from Christchurch to
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Queenstown.
Mm-hmm.
So we would miss, if we go to Wellington, we would not do that part either.
That's
the
correct.
top. Mm.
If we go to Wellington, we'll spend 1 or 2 nights there and then fly directly down to Queenstown.
Okay. These are hard decisions.
Since we don't
Since I
know.
know.
Right.
I know.
Well, I would ask you and anyone listening to this replay, to this recording, to do a little bit of research into both. The National Museum in Wellington, the WETA workshop, that's an acronym for something, WETA.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Ray stuck her head in, so we didn't pay attention for a second.
So WETA.
WETA workshop, yes. And then I will, of course, do my own research on Christchurch, and then we can all look up Tekapo, TEKAPO.
Okay. So weather research, because my attention was diverted momentarily, and the reason we'd be looking that up is
just to inform your decision.
And that's
Okay.
where, that's the one in Wellington? The WETA?
WETA is in Wellington. That's the
The
Peter
Wellington.
Jackson place, yeah.
okay.
By the way, I did read something about the glowworm thing. It sounded really cool.
Yes, it does. Yeah, we haven't seen that. You know what? I'm running out of time.
Okay, we're done.
Cut us off. And so feel free to send in your comments and questions to my email address, davidkdurham@gmail.com. And we
Gotcha.
will try to move towards making a decision about who's going and when, etc.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah,
David.
sounds good.
Okay.
Appreciate it, brother. Love you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.